Good evening, and first at 5, tense moments for guests staying at a hotel near Portland International Airport when they were woken up by the sounds of gunfire coming from inside the building. When it was all over, a man and a woman were dead. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. This morning's shooting is the second at the Embassy Suites there in just a matter of months. Mike Benner's in the newsroom. Mike, this sounds absolutely terrifying. Any suspects or arrests yet?
You know, David, officials aren't saying. All they're saying is that there is no ongoing threat to the airport or the surrounding area. While that may be comforting to some, this double shooting as a whole rattled many.
I'm finding it hard to get started with my day. I feel like I'm frozen in time.
From his hotel room in the Embassy Suites near the airport, Galen David recalls the overnight shooting that left 2 people dead.
I had always wondered if I'd know when something like this was happening, and it was unmistakable, but they were just one right after another, bam, 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 bam.
David remembers hearing at least 12 gunshots, followed by blood-curdling screams, then more gunshots.
That's how I remember it, and that they were further away. So I was thinking, this is going to be going on for a while.
Fortunately, he was wrong. The gunfire eventually ended. Police swarmed the hotel and found a man and woman dead.
I just couldn't believe it was happening.
If David needed any confirmation, it came when detectives came knocking on the door of his hotel room.
They were asking me general questions about, how many gunshots I heard and everything, and I pretty much described it the same way as I did to you.
Wednesday morning's shooting comes about 4 months after another deadly shooting at the same Embassy Suites. The victim in that case identified as 18-year-old Parnell Baden Jr. Earlier this year, police arrested a 20-year-old suspect. The Oregonian reports a 15-year-old boy is also involved.
I had no idea that the hotels had multiple occurrences in such a short period of time. I know it's just a coincidence, but it is strange. It's pretty shocking to find that out.
Though not shocking enough for Galen David to pack his bags and leave, as we saw a bunch of people doing late Wednesday morning.
It's not made me want to run from the hotel.
All right, it's worth mentioning we did reach out to hotel management for a comment. We wanted to hear from them, seeing as 3 people have now been killed there in a matter of months, but so far we have not heard back. David?
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate the update there. Let's head to Vancouver now, where police have arrested a man accused of a deadly shooting outside a Safeway. Investigators say 28-year-old Nicholas Martinell Sterling opened fire on East Mill Plain Boulevard Saturday night after a group of men there got into a fight. They say the suspect chased the victims and then shot into their car. 1 man died, 3 others were injured. Sterling faces charges that include murder and assault. Got a big development today in Salem, where the Oregon House passed a $200 million package designed to address the state's homeless crisis. Now, this includes priorities outlined in Governor Tina Kotek's homeless emergency declaration. Money aims to help renters facing eviction take on homeless issues in rural and coastal counties, support homeless youth, and ramp up production of affordable housing. It is a long list here. Recent estimates found Oregon is short about 140,000 affordable housing units. Governor Kotek has set a target of building 36,000 per year. The housing package now heads to the state Senate. Now, in response, House Republicans in a statement say while they support housing solutions, it will not be enough without Measure 110 reform and addressing challenges related to drug use. Meanwhile, the Rose City is looking at ways it can spur housing development. You might remember our Blair Best reporting on a survey the city sent to developers asking what needed to change in order to build more affordable units. Now, it turns out one of the top challenges, according to the survey, is bike parking requirements. So tonight, Blair has an update on the rest of the results and one change that's already underway.
It's an all too common sight in downtown Portland. Tents on the sidewalks and empty buildings on nearly every corner.
It makes me angry that they're just sitting there vacant.
It's almost like torture for homeless people like Samantha.
It'd be great to see some of these vacant buildings turned into housing so they can help the homeless people get off the streets.
Newly released results from a survey sent out earlier this month from Portland's new housing commissioner Carmen Rubio outlines what development professionals say needs to change to make way for more affordable housing. Architect Daniel Caven was one of the more than 600 people to fill it out.
And the process is really slow and cumbersome currently.
And it's important for us to understand from those who are involved with the development of housing what some of the issues or the constraints are from a policy perspective.
That's Ken Ray with the city's Bureau of Development Services. One of the main concerns revealed in the survey is when certain permit payments are due, resulting in how quickly a developer can start building.
One of the concerns we've heard from developers over the years is that requiring upfront payments on system development charges when permits are issued can be onerous and can delay the issuance of the permits.
Earlier today, City Council passed 2 ordinances that would make it easier to convert empty office spaces like this one on the corner of Southwest Alder and 4th into housing. Now, it's also in an effort to address the growing vacancy rates in the city's central business district, but it also complements Commissioner Rubio's efforts to bring more affordable housing to Portland. It's not clear which buildings would be converted or who the housing would be for, but it's a move to revitalize the Central District, and one Mayor Wheeler is calling innovative. Yet those living on the streets have been longing for it for years. Do you ever sleep or camp outside of a vacant building downtown?
Yeah, all the time.
How does that make you feel?
Worthless. Wish I could get inside.
Now, these are all just first steps in the city's plans to change policies to make it easier to build more affordable housing. Now, the city has until Friday to submit their plans to the governor, which is required under her homelessness state of emergency. In Southwest Portland, Blair Best, KGW News.
And sticking with housing tonight, the Confederated Tribes of Grand Run, west of Salem, is now expanding a program to help tribal members struggling with homelessness. Officials are working on a second location for what they call tiny shelter villages. Now, Village 2 features 15 pods capable of housing up to 4 people and their belongings. This village is meant for families. It's going to include a community center pod for gathering and for light cooking. Guests will also have access to services, authorities say, to help them live healthier lives and move on to more permanent housing.
This is hugely important. We have many tribal members that have been unsheltered, that were living in their cars or in tents or couch hopping from family members to friends that didn't have anywhere to live.
Well, the Confederated Tribes opened its first tiny shelter village last month. That one features smaller pods for couples or singles. It filled up very quickly. We have some good news tonight about a group of seniors living in Tigard who are celebrating this evening. That is because many thought they were at risk of losing what for decades had been low-income homes. Now it appears they'll all get to stay. Alma McCarty shows us who stepped in with a solution.
On a sunny afternoon in Tigard, Woodspring Apartment tenants celebrated a victory.
I made this a home, you know, even though it's an apartment complex. This is home.
This is just the biggest win for everybody.
It's just the biggest relief that you could possibly hope for, and I thank God.
The vote by Washington County Commissioners to purchase the low-income complex from a private investment company means this group can stay together.
I think that's unanimous, so it's approved.
The Woodspring Tenants Association has advocated for this action since 2021, when they first got word that their affordable rent had an expiration date.
We got this notice on the door that said, "Oh, Happy New Year, we're going market rate." I can't believe the callousness of this.
2 years of organizing later, tenants can rest easier after the county's decision.
We've won at this point, and it means a lot because there's so many people in here. It's such a great little neighborhood.
We don't have to worry about moving. We don't have to worry about the rent being so high that none of us can afford it.
When we heard that news, it was like, oh, thank God, because I cannot move again. I just cannot move again.
That could have been the reality for many residents, including Peggy Hepler. She's lived at Woodspring since 2015.
I fell in love with the place right off the bat.
After a bad car wreck last summer, she leaned on this community while she recovered.
I don't know how I would do this without my neighbors.
The loss of that, devastating to think about.
These last couple of years have been so stressful. When you're on Social Security only, and it keeps going up, and your money is going down and down, because what their percentage of increase on your Social Security isn't even close to what the rent increase is. And it's like, okay, what can I do without?
The county's agreement to purchase the property means Woodspring will remain affordable.
I moved in here. I planned to live here until they carried me out. This has been the greatest stay that we could ever have.
In Tigard, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Great to see them celebrating. We should mention it's not quite yet a done deal. Tonight at 6 on The Story, we're going to look into where the money is coming from and what is next in that process to make sure tenants like Peggy Hepler there can stay.